Hello again, fellow modelers. In this video I'm going to build this rusty KV-2 in 1:72 scale. I chose kit made by Trumpeter because at the market is not a lot of kit of this type. KV-2 is based at KV-1 chassis, but with an enormous turret and deadly 152mm howitzer. In the kit is a few plastic parts and a lot of details are simplified or missing. It is again a great opportunity for me and you to make it a little bit better and more detailed. And of course I bought new metal gun barrel. The tongue tracks are molded from rubber and in one piece, so assemble will be straightforward. One question: how many details you would like to make or modify at this part? I already see 12 or 14 which I want to make, so you can count. In any case, the kit is simple, but some details are nice. So that is all about the kit. Now we need to assemble it. I cut out plastic parts from sprue with sharp side cutters. I glue metal gun barrel to plastic part with a super glue. The rest of plastic parts I glue with a Revell contactor or with a thin glue Mr. Cement S. Okay, that was fast. First modification. I want to make some hatches opened, so I need to make at least one, and the rest of them I will cast from epoxy putty. Therefore I cannot damage plastic hatch which I want to use. It has from bottom side nice details. Now I must cover the hole with a plastic board and fill it with epoxy putty. I already have one undamaged hatch, so I can destroy the rest of them without no problems, I hope. If you thought that plastic protrusions or handles should be removed, you had right. I cut them out with side cutters and make new ones from copper wire. I use copper wires from old electronic conductors, so you can usually find this material for free. Another weird looking detail is with triangles at fenders. I will make new fender supports, but it will be after primer. This 1mm part is front light. I want to make it look destroyed, so I make a small hole with a micro electric drill. The light will be without glass lens. The drying time of epoxy putty is 5 or 7 hours, and the final hardness is similar to plastic, so it can be easily sanded or drilled. It looks like new. All this effort for one plastic part. Now I create mold from oyamuru, which is thermoplastic material. I also have tutorial for this technique if you want to know more. Now I create copy of hatch from Epoxy party. I imitate the welds and rough structure of a cut steel plate. I do not know how to describe that. I mainly make a lot of small cuts with a knife. There are on the side of the tank boxes for tools. In the kit are solid and quite thick. I want the box to be opened, so I must create new scratch build from the plastic board. The thickness of the plastic board is 0.1 mm. If you do not have some local model hobby shop nearby, you can find a lot of useful materials for your models at eBay or AliExpress for a few dollars. They have mostly free shipping, sponsored with a very generous Chinese government. I create box cover from a brass sheet, and again, if you don't have a brass, you can use an aluminum from a drink can. I make new holes for vision ports and periscopes. I told you that it will be destroyed KV-2, so I try to make a few holes to turret after direct hits, like in this picture. I melt down plastic dust with a thin glue. I do not like the empty interior because I have some hatches opened, therefore I add some random plastic profiles. This is a cast hatch from Epoxy party, and I glue it with a super glue. The engine section will be also partly visible, but a model is again empty. Maybe you remember my Flak 40 swirling. The kit had a nice engine, so I made a mold of it. The KV-2 has of course entirely different engine, but I need to fill empty space. I cast it from 2-component fast dry resin. This technique has much better details than thermoplastic, which I used before. However, it is more time consuming. Another nice detail is to make fenders damage or bend. I simply heat plastic with a soldering iron. Now I unify model with a grey primer. It is perfect base for acrylic colors, and also matte grey color will reveal me a lot of imperfections. I removed fender support at the beginning of this video, so now I create new ones from a plastic board which I cut to small stripes. Okay, finally painting. I spray the whole model with a field green from Mr. Color. It is a nice shade, so I use it. The result is quite dark, therefore I paint highlights with a cockpit green color. I didn't want to use the same color as the grass at the diorama, so now I can work with it. Now I fix the result with a clear lacquer varnish. Super Clear 3 has a very dense consistency, so you must use some lacquer thinner. I like rubber town tracks because you can simply modify the shape. I put cotton swab between tracks and fenders and fix the position with a clear varnish. I let cotton swab at the position 1 day. It will create a nice deflection of the tracks. Now I apply dark brown wash. It will make details more pronounced. The KV-2 still looks very clean and new, therefore I mix rust shade from Revell Aqua colors and paint with a fine paintbrush a lot of small scratches. Now I imitate super fine scratches with a sponge. It is time-consuming process to paint the whole model, so that is the result. Some scratches are very pronounced and unrealistic, so I smooth them with a Revell paint remover. You must apply just a small amount of the thinner on the brush, otherwise you will clean color to plastic. And again I make the same at the turret. I think that the result now looks more like an abandoned and destroyed tank. However, I paint more shading, dirt and stains with the oil paints. You can simply paint nice rust stains with a paintbrush. You only need to paint with straight line and then blur oil paint with a dry brush. This is a basic, unfinished diorama, which I will also show you in some future videos, so you can subscribe to my channel and you will not miss it. In any case, the tank is still not finished. I paint highlights with light yellow color. I almost forget to paint my hardly made front light. I use chrome enamel color from Model Master. In the end, I made my photo edge parts with a basic tool set. I made toolboxes, therefore it's a shame to let them empty. It was a nice and funny model. I like that some details at 1/72 scale are simplified, because I like to modify model just a little bit. And it was a pleasant change, because from the beginning I knew that it would be heavy weathered model with some battle damage, and I had original pictures. Mostly I'm making weathering in the process because I'm not satisfied with the result. If you are not fan of weathering and you like clean models, you can check my T62 tank model video. I'm trying to show different approaches, so you can choose what you like and follow the steps. And that is all. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Here is the finished model.